But 1.7 million subs on YouTube, 1 million on Instagram, 1.5 on TikTok, 10 million views a day.
Most creators get one breakout hit in their career, if they're lucky. But today's guest has done it multiple times across totally different industries.
A lot of the Pokemon stuff that I do, which is more entertainment, I'm taking the lessons there and I'm putting them back into the entrepreneurial education world that I'm in.
Pat Flynn is one of the most respected entrepreneurs in the creator space. He's also the author of Lean Learning that shows how creators can grow faster by experimenting more and consuming less.
Quantity is key. I know people say quality is key. I'm not saying sacrifice value, but sacrifice a little quality to get quantity so you get more data and more reps in. What I'm learning about YouTube, especially titles and thumbnails and how to keep a person retained throughout a video. I mean, really at the base of all this is one of the videos we did had 11 million views. It was like $45,000 in ad revenue from one video. And so we're like, oh, we have a formula now.
What are some of those things that you've learned and been able to take into, all of your content?
If there was one thing to leave your audience with is, that's how we got to 1 million. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? That was really cool.
There's so much good stuff in there. So Pat, we're here at Craft and Commerce in Boise. We hosted a mastermind the first day for about 50 top creators. And partway through, you dipped out for a few minutes.
Yeah, I had to leave.
Tell me about that.
I had to leave because I got a text message from my publisher. I just published this new book. And they were like, we have some good news we want to share with you. Now, before this, by the way, we, of course, are trying to hit the New York Times and stuff. And I had a dream the night before that I hit it. And then I woke up. And then I was really mad.
And it was in this dream, you were in Japan. And
yeah, I mean, I should have known it was a dream. There were like, Pikachu and Charizard were hanging out with me and stuff. And I woke up. I was like actually upset because it's always been a really big goal of mine. But I woke up in the morning. I got a message from a buddy of mine who said I hit the USA Today.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh,
made a bestseller list.
Made a bestseller list. I can always say I'm a national bestseller. And we were preparing ourselves for just. The numbers weren't huge, and it's been a very competitive year. We've been seeing it, and so we're just like, you're probably not going to hit New York Times, but you should be proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
Midway through this mastermind in front of these incredible creators where everybody's like in these deep conversations, I get the text message from my publishers, and I go out into the hallway. They give me the news that we actually hit the New York Times. I cry for like 15 minutes because literally all the emotions, frustrations with the process and everything and just how happy I was hit me. And I came back to the table and like my eyes are bloodshot and everybody stops talking like, are you okay?
You're okay.
Like, are you fine?
Like a car accident happened. You just got some terrible news, but.
And I was like, I hit the New York Times. And they all like jumped up and our table made a ruckus. And, I didn't want it to be about me during that time because it wasn't, but it was a special moment for sure. A long time in the making. Yeah.
And I think to be able to celebrate it with people who get it, right? Who either have a similar dream or, have achieved it themselves. A lot of times we hang out with friends or family back home and, they're like, oh, I'm so happy for you or that kind of thing. But they don't truly get the amount of work
or what it means.
Yeah.
Like everybody here gets it.
Right.
And everybody watching this gets it. And it's like, wow, like to celebrate with people, some who have done that before too and have gone through that journey or others who want to go down that journey is really special. So thank you for hosting us.
Oh yeah. Thank you for coming. You killed it with the talk, all of that. It was really good. So give us the premise of the book because we're going to weave that all the way through the story of building multiple 7-figure YouTube channels, which is pretty crazy. Like you've done it a couple of times, which is hard to do. And so what's the premise of the book?
So Lean Learning, how to achieve more by learning less. Information once used to be valuable. And I think if you're a creator watching this is really important because there's enough information already. We're overloaded with it. Yet consumers, we are learning as if information is still that scarce resource. It's almost as if it were like a scarce food source back in like caveman days, right? You come across a carcass or like a fruit bush. You're like, I'm going to take it all because for survival, you might not come across another one. So you take it all. And we're still treating information that way. That's how it used to be. When you and I first started writing and first started blogging, we were creating information that didn't exist before.
Right.
And therefore it was being consumed, it was being found. Now it's different. We're at this buffet line of information and we're stuffing our plates full because we think we need it all. And not only that, we're being force-fed a bunch of stuff too that is just getting rammed down our throats and we're still learning as much as we can. I mean, I can't tell you how many people who I come across who have like, they're subscribed to 25 different podcasts.
Right.
And they feel behind when they're not able to keep up with it. Where are you getting time to actually take action? Learning feels like you're making progress, but true progress happens when you trade just-in-case learning for just-in-time learning. Finding the information you need from the right resource at the right time for the right reason, and then using action to learn versus hypothetical or, again, this feel-good idea of just let me consume because it feels like I'm making progress, when the other part of this is just getting over-inspired.
Right.
By learning too much, you're actually getting pulled in too many different directions. You probably already know what you have to do. And it's just this like mask for procrastination, really.
Feel slightly called out. Yeah. I think many people do, like, oh yeah, that's, yep, I do exactly that.
Right. Well, I'm calling myself out and every other person in this world right now.
A lot of people listening are going to know you from, your journey building SPI over a long period of time. Especially when you come to an event like this, you're going to get stopped in the street or all of those things. Now people stop you in the street for something entirely different. Well, I'm curious, when you get stopped in the street and someone says like, "Oh, are you Pat Flynn?" Which Pat Flynn do you think they're talking to?
Well, usually it's, "Are you Deep Pocket Monster?" which is the name of my new Pokemon channel, relatively new, 4 years old now.
Yep.
We're at 1.6 million subscribers, over 300 million views, and in and of itself, it's a 7-figure business now about something I didn't know about
4 years ago.
Before the pandemic. And it's been a fun ride, and it's just getting started. The ceiling for how many people are curious about Pokemon versus entrepreneur stuff is way high.
I remember, I think it was you and I talking probably like 2016, 2017 about, like the biggest audiences in business and entrepreneurship. And around that time, if people were getting to 50,000 email subscribers or 100,000, that was like, you were the biggest in the game.
Right.
And you're, at this huge level. And then you'd step over into like food or some of these other different niches, where the total addressable market is just 10 times the size.
Right.
And someone's like, "Oh yeah, I've got 500,000 on my email list." And you're like, it's just another level.
Or like Mr. Beast, he's almost at 400 million YouTube subscribers.
Yeah.
Like almost 500 million, which is crazy and unheard of. But he's entertainment.
Right.
And I did pull a lot of inspiration from channels like him and Ryan Trahan for storytelling and, getting in front of a more mass audience.
Right.
The demographic is different for Pokemon. You'd think it's a bunch of kids. It's actually not. It's people my age who once had allowance to spend on a pack of cards per week, who have more than an allowance now and are reliving that nostalgia and then even bringing their families along. I mean, an interesting stat is that for my long form channel, Deep Pocket Monster, I think 60 to 65% of our audience is watching on a television.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the videos are an hour and a half long. And these are movies we're creating. I feel like that we're scripting the voiceovers after we're leaning into storytelling. We're learning about screenplay writing,
right,
and injecting those things into the story. So much so that even if people don't care about Pokemon, they're still enjoying the show and still following the journey.
Yeah. So there's the phrase, "Once you're lucky, twice you're good," and I have heard people, and I know you've heard this too, where people say like, "Oh, Pat Flynn built his business because he was lucky with the timing or whatever else." And I've known you for a long time, so I've seen like the insane preparation and effort that goes into, every one of your business talks, your YouTube videos, all of these things over the years. But I think there's been a bit of a perception of like, oh, well, it was, Pat could do that because of exactly when he started, or the wave that he rode.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've heard, and how does that land?
There's a little bit of a stigma there. I mean, when I first started and I started sharing my success with my architecture website and all that stuff from back in the day, I used to be, I remember a comment very specifically. It was like, "You're just a flash in the pan. Like, this is just a flash in the pan for you." And I didn't even really know what that meant. So I looked it up and it was like, oh, this is just a one-time thing that you're going to never be able to do again. Yeah. And then even to a point where some people are saying you're a flash in the pan.
Oh, like trying to personalize it to you.
I'm like, thanks. I don't even know who you are. Yet back then, being inexperienced, I would take that personally.
Right.
And I'll be like, "I'll show you. I'm going to one day do something again." And actually, that's what did inspire me a little bit to just openly share my experiments. I started an iPhone app company that I then sold. I started a security guard training website, a food truck website. I was like, not only going to do it once, I'm going to do it multiple times and show you all along the way. Now, each time, because it was work in public and building in public, it wasn't always a straight line to success, but I always learned my way into finding how to make these things work. And I've continued to do that. And it worked in the Pokemon channel now as well. And it's just working really well with a much bigger addressable market.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive. Tell me about the shift from like education content to entertainment content.
It's interesting. However, I'm also noticing that in education, we need to add some form of entertainment in it as well. And that doesn't mean you need explosions and, a bunch of random like quick cuts like Cocomelon to keep people on your channel, although some people may argue you kind of do need that now. But better relatability, I think, is more important. I mean, information, like I was saying, is everywhere. Anything that could ever be said is probably already been said. And as I once said on the stage a number of years back, there are no unique messages, only unique messengers. Jada Selner said that. And I really believe that to be true. I remember playing on stage Ludacris rapping Llama Llama Red Pajama.
That was still one of my favorite openings to a conference talk ever. When you come out on stage and everyone's like, all right, what do we got? And you're just like, calm and understated, and then you get out the book and then you start reading. And did you read the entire book?
No, I read a couple pages, and then I said, "This is how I read it to my kids," because my kids were younger at the time. But this is how Ludacris reads it, and he's on like Q106 or something in LA, and he's like, "Llama Llama, Rep John," and he's rapping it in his very style. And I broke down Ludacris' style, and the point being, like, he's reading the exact same thing I'm reading. It's the same information, it's the same story. But it's read in his unique way where you know exactly that that's Ludacris when he's reading, because he's bringing himself into it in his southern sort of Atlanta rap style into it. So today when we're creating information, like, it's interesting. A lot of the Pokemon stuff that I do, which is more entertainment, although there is some education in there as well for that audience, I'm taking the lessons there and I'm putting them back into the entrepreneurial education world that I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. Like what I'm learning about YouTube, especially titles and thumbnails and how to keep a person retained throughout a video and the stories that you tell. I mean, really at the base of all this is storytelling. I feel like this is going to be the literal number one skill that anybody needs to learn right now, especially with AI and everything becoming so commoditized and so easily accessible. And the truth is, again, if information were the answer, then we'd all be where we want to be.
Right.
So it's not. So it's much deeper than that.
Well, so let's go to something like retention.
Yeah.
On stage yesterday, you showed and talked a lot about, the retention curves in YouTube and how you studied it and what you learned. What are some of those things that you've learned from growing Deep Pocket Monster and been able to take into, all of your content, not just the entertainment, but also the business content?
Yeah. So for example, one style of video that we do on the Pokemon channel, or I did, was I would buy these mystery boxes on eBay for like $500, $1,000, and I'd film myself opening them. And this is really fun because you don't know what's inside. And generally speaking, the mystery boxes on eBay is just trash. Like
someone's just getting rid of a bunch of cards.
Right. And they're trying to like make whatever money they can. But it's still a fun video because you never know what you get. So inherently there's retention in there because you're like, is Pat going to make his money back or not? And generally speaking, I don't. However, going a little bit deeper into the retention graphs, which is really amazing about YouTube, they give you that data. And only now, after several years, we're starting to see similar things in the podcasting world, which is great, retention. I noticed on all of the videos that I did, like the first few, people dropped off, meaning the graph went down, whenever I showed up on camera.
And you're just like, ooh.
Yeah.
But the data doesn't lie.
A little hit to the ego, but it makes sense. The promise of the video is this mystery box and what's inside. Right. Why would they need to hear me talk about why I purchased this mystery box and all the information about, like, this is what intrigued me about the listing? Nobody cared about that. They just wanted to see what was inside. So that shifted our strategy to no longer having me do the intro. Rather, like, let's just start with the box being opened.
Right.
Like right there. And we start to see the retention graphs doing much better, and then a slower drop off. More videos published means more data. Get those reps in. One of the videos we did had a box that had binders in it. And it was the first time we ever had like binders in a mystery box video. And we noticed that when I was showing the binders in the middle of the video, the retention graph was absolutely flat.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, flat retention is exactly what you want.
That's great. That means people are into whatever it is you're talking about. And like literal 4-minute period where nobody left. And that's insane. And so we looked at that and we're like, binders. What if we just bought binders? Like, screw the mystery boxes. Let's just buy other people's collections if they're selling them. And we found a bunch of people who were, and we just did binder collection purchases. Those videos popped off. We didn't know to do that until we got the data that told us to do that. So the binders were really interesting. Now, one thing that I talk about in lean learning is this idea of experimentation, right? Like controlling the amount of additional stuff you have beyond the stuff that you're committed to. Because a lot of people will say, people like Alex Hormozi say, you just need to do the one thing and do it and lean into it, and one thing only, like nothing else.
Okay.
And I understand why that's there, because we kind of go everywhere when we allow ourselves too much freedom. But I allow myself 20% of time for experimentation to play in whatever I do. When you look at a week, that's maybe Friday, right? Monday to Thursday, 80%, Friday, 20%. The 80% is the commitments you already have, the things you're already supposed to be doing, the responsibilities you have, et cetera. This 20% allows me to scratch that itch. I call it the 20% itch rule. It allows me to play and has permission. I have now permission to play and experiment and be creative and see what happens. Between 2017 and 2019, my 20% of time was building the Switch Pod. So this invention with Caleb that I got to, promote at the event a number of years back. So thank you for that. I got to meet Casey Neistat at Crafting Commerce, which was cool. And he was like, it should be smaller and you should just keep it black. You don't need any other colors. And we're like, done. Thank you.
Yes. I remember that moment.
Yeah,
that was actually,
you were there and like he was in and out really quickly, but that was really helpful. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, it was funny. Like all the colors is like black. Only black. That's all you need.
Yeah. He's like, I don't really want to be seen with like a bright color around this. So just start with black. So that's how we did it. And we launched that in February of 2019 to $500,000 in 60 days, which was really cool. And we used lean learning to do that because we had never invented anything before. So we found the resources we need at the right time. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but even at Crafting Commerce, there were a couple people who spoke on stage who had already promoted and had used Kickstarter to be very successful. The guys
from Studio Neat.
Studio Neat, that's right. Yep. And we got to meet them and chat with them, and we were like, what if you could do Kickstarter all over again? What's one thing you would want to make sure you absolutely do? And they were like, well, we had too many pledge levels. It just
complicated it.
Yeah. It just caused too much havoc. So then when we did our Kickstarter, we just had 2 levels, like buy 1 or buy 3. That's it. And it was so easy to manage and everything was fulfilled much better.
Yeah.
So the experimentation, right? We have these buckets of videos now, the collection buying videos, the mystery boxes. We have our educational content, which was a bucket, but we always want to have like a little additional room for a play bucket, an experimental bucket.
Yeah.
So we did a video on the channel where I was just doing trick shots. I got inspired by Dude Perfect.
Yep.
And I was like, I can use these Pokemon cards. There's like these energy cards that come in every pack that literally nobody cares about. So what if we did something fun with them? And we tried to come up with a story. And the story was I would try to land one of these cards into a clothespin. And I would start the video like Dude Perfect does. They land a crazy cool trick shot right in the beginning to hook somebody, right? So in this video, I shared this at Crafting Commerce. Boom, I land this trick shot and it's amazing. My kids my daughter goes crazy. She's like, you did it. And my son comes out and he goes, I bet you can't land it in this, which is a card saver. Like it's almost impossible to throw in there. And it like turned it into this little challenge.
Right.
Can I land this energy card into this little card holder within 24 hours or else I'll lose this really expensive card to my son. So he becomes like this villain character in this world.
He does such a great job of it too.
He's still the villain in my channel, like, because we keep going back and forth. And when we filmed this video, the retention graph was flat the entire time. And we even had a little notification from YouTube that said 82% of people are still watching this after 30 seconds, which like never happened. So we were like, oh my gosh, we're learning here. I don't think we want to do trick shot videos all the time. We're not going to turn into a Dude Perfect. But what do we learn from this? Well, people love the challenge and it opens up that retention to stay till the end to see what happens. So we said, okay, what if we combine the binders that people love with the challenge? So that's where I did my first binder challenge video where I had to try to complete a set of Pokemon cards in 24 hours or else I lose them all. And that video, not only did it have the highest retention graph that we had, and it was a much longer video too, so it added watch time, that saw 11 million views. And that the one single video has accounted for 80,000 additional YouTube subscribers. And I think in the analytics, it was like $45,000 in ad revenue from wild. One video. And so we're like, oh, we have a formula now.
Right.
We couldn't have started. We wouldn't have known to start with that formula.
But you have all these little learnings.
Right.
You're like, that's interesting. That shows up in the data, and then you're piecing it together and just seeing like compounding returns over time as you keep learning.
Correct. And so now we are sort of money bucket, if you want to call it that, is these challenges and different versions of them. A 2-hour set completion challenge, a 48-hour one, collaborations with others who want to get involved with this as well, and they each stack on each other and they each serve each other. Right, a person who watches the fourth one will get served the first one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so now that we have this bucket that we know works really well, we can go and do what I like to call micro mastery within these. So micro mastery is a lesson inside of lean learning where you take this thing that's big and often overwhelming and you break it down into its little components. And in the world of business, for me, I use the example in the book, it was public speaking for me. I wanted to be a professional and amazing public speaker, but it was so overwhelming and there were so many resources and I wanted to do it all and do it really well. So number one, I hired a coach. I got Mike Pacione to help me and he was really influential in the beginning, having a mentor to kind of guide you so you're not learning from a million resources, you're just learning from the one, but then getting those reps in. And every time you do, you try to improve one little thing, very Atomic Habits and James Clear in its approach. So for example, I tried to figure out, okay, if I were to learn one small thing in the world of public speaking that could help me more than anything, like what's the highest leverage thing? What would it be? Storytelling. You could have no slides and tell a great story and still compel an audience. Just like how if you have a good story and terrible video quality, it could still be a great YouTube video, right? So I learned that and I focused on that, hyper-focused on that, read about it, just found resources, had a mentor teach me storytelling specifically and learn those frameworks. Another time it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this conference and I really want to nail what do I do with my hands? Because that was always a problem for me. I was like,
and you're just
put
like,
it in my pocket. So I was like, I'm just going to focus for the next month on learning what world-class speakers do with their hands.
Okay.
And so I watched like 100 TED Talks and I just was like looking at their hands.
You crop it all out and you're just like, only the hands.
That's all I'm focusing on, right? And again, just hyper-focusing on that for a period of time. It actually reminds me of my friend James, actually, who is an ultra marathon runner. And he's like a professional. He wants to win. Now, one way to improve with running is just to run a lot.
Yep.
But you can improve faster by micro mastering these little things. So he got to the point where he hired a film crew who had a ultra slow-mo camera to film his heel hitting the ground so he could analyze the transfer of power and like all this stuff. And he focused on that for like an entire month. And had like scientists and like really smart people look at it and analyze it. And then he got to a point where he was able to do the thing he wanted to do with it. And then now it's ingrained in him and he can move on.
Right. And he might have like 0.1% increase in that. But he's like, look, this is the thing that I do hundreds of thousands of times millions of times over a marathon.
So that's a great point, because if you just make an incremental change now, over time, that gap in difference, that delta becomes huge. So that's why micro mastery works really well.
And so you're not trying to say, okay, I'm going to get better at all of public speaking, right? Because you might have, if you try to do that, you get feedback on every aspect of your talk, you might get a step function improvement. But that's just, you took care of all the basics.
Yeah.
You're not making the most obvious mistakes anymore.
Right.
But then you're saying, okay, I have to break it down and master this one part of it.
Right. So if you want to get super pro at something, you don't necessarily need 10,000 hours.
Right.
I mean, you can get there just by putting the reps in, sure, and you'll be a master at it, whatever it might be. Malcolm Gladwell, right? 10,000 hours. But you could learn something in 2 hours. You can master a micro component of what it is you're doing in 2 hours. If you're a YouTuber, what would it look like to master thumbnails?
Okay.
And what would that do for you? It would do so much, right? Because you know this, like thumbnails are 90% of the title thumbnail packaging around the thing that you're about to kind of share with the world. If you don't have a good title or thumbnail, you might as well not even have the video. Sadly, that's just the world of YouTube. So hyper-focusing on thumbnails, that's how Mr. Beast got big. I went to Vid Summit in Dallas. And no, it was in LA, but now it's in Dallas. Anyway, Mr. Beast was going to speak there. And I was like, yes, I'm going to absorb everything I can from Mr. Beast. I want it all. His entire 2-hour talk was about thumbnails.
Because he knows that's what's most important. And everyone's like, give me all the tips we want to cover. Of course, we'll touch on thumbnails, but all this. And he's like, no. It's just thumbnails.
It's just thumbnails. Down to the colors being used and the contrast and the different iterations. And now we have the ability to split test and even learn even faster in the world of YouTube. So that's just an example.
So we talked about storytelling, the packaging really matters. What are some of those things that you bring from the entertainment channel that you've done and everything you've learned that you're like, look, if I were to take over running your YouTube channel, you take over running a business YouTube channel, you're like, here are the 3 things that I'm going to absolutely obsess over.
So on the Pokemon channel, again, learning as we go, there was this set I was trying to complete called Pokemon 151. It celebrates the original 151 Pokemon from the Johto region. Anyway, I tried to complete the set in 151 minutes because that's kind of a cool hook. I failed. And the audience loves when I fail, by the way. So I tried it again. And I was really, really concerned of failing a second time. Because
you're going to stores, to trading events, calling people up.
Right.
That.
Whatever I can do within 151 minutes. Usually I'm at a convention or at some shops or things like that. I was so worried about a second failure because I was like, I don't want to like just bombard my audience with the same set and the same cards and the same challenge 3 times in a row. But I failed the second time. And I was like, well, I have to do it again because I can't leave the audience hanging. But what was really interesting is all the comments on that second video where I failed again, they were like, you have to get this.
Right.
Like,
now they're all invested.
Right. They're invested. And I did a third time and then I completed it. And it was just like, what was really funny was the third video has more views than both the other videos combined. And what I learned was what we were doing across multiple videos was we were creating a story arc. Much like how your favorite anime might be about something like One Piece, for example. We're getting nerdy here. But One Piece is about Luffy in his search for the One Piece, like the hidden treasure. That's the story. But within that, there are mini stories or story arcs.
Right.
Like Marineford arc, which takes 50 episodes. And, Fishman Island, which might take 40 episodes. There's over 1,000 episodes. But there's these moments that each have their own villain, their own mini story within that. This was my 151 story arc inside of this channel. And so what I'm taking from that is that instead of just like, here's an individual video about X, Y, Z, which is what most educational creators do, it's let me take you on this journey. For example, maybe I'm trying to sell a product. It launches in 1 month. And I'm going to share with you exactly how we're going to launch this thing. And it's going to take a few videos. And in this video, we're going to work on positioning statements because positioning statements for your product, the promise that you're making is really important. And I'm going to learn about it and you're going to see it. And we're going to find out in a month if this actually works. But this is the plan. Video number 2, now we're going to work on pricing. Here's my education around pricing, but it's built into the story arc that you've now created that gets people to subscribe because they know it's coming. And that's the big secret. People don't subscribe because they like the video they just saw. That's what we think, but that's what a thumbs up or a heart is for. A subscription is, I want to know what comes next.
Yeah, I'm opting into this journey.
Correct. And that was my issue with my first YouTube channel. My first YouTube channel, which was Smart Passive Income, and it was about business. It was random. It was about business, but that's so general. People would subscribe for my podcasting tutorial, and then I do a video about SEO that they didn't care about. And then I do a video about affiliate marketing. Maybe some of them do. I think in my head that they do. But they initially subscribe because they want podcast stuff. And then when they don't get that next, unfortunately what that does is YouTube goes, oh, the subscribers here aren't watching this video that this YouTuber created, so we're not going to send it out to more people.
So I'm thinking about applying this in business. There's things that both you and I have done of like personal business challenges that we've built in public. I mean, Kit was started that way, right? The web app challenge of give me 6 months. Let me see if I can pull this off. It was now it would do very well on YouTube, like that kind of content, but did it in blog form. You would do it with the challenges of like building the niche websites or things like that. Yeah. So there's that category that you can tell your own story as you learn something. But I'm also realizing in business content, you could have the same recurring characters where like on this show, for example, I do a lot of coaching as we get up on the board. I could bring people back and then, get I don't know how often I could bring them back, but, get the viewers hooked on like, oh, how is Jay's business going? He's on this journey to get to $2 million a year for Casper Studios, his AI development agency.
Yeah.
He was at $500,000 a year when he came on. Here was the advice, going on
these
from
markers,
there.
Right?
And then I guess you could also then later do a supercut of like the full, you come back and say like, okay, we're now 2 years in.
Yeah.
Here's Jay's entire journey.
Yeah.
And it's like 2.5 hours long.
Actually, we did that with another arc that we created. We tried to collect one of every Pokemon. There's 1,025. And that took 8 videos to do.
Okay.
And we were like, what would happen if we just put all these videos together in one video to tell the whole story? And we just took out those moments where we're like, next week, check it out. We just went right into it.
Yep.
That video is 4 hours and 37 minutes. And we're like, is this going to hurt our channel? Like, what's going to happen? 3.3 million people have seen that. And it has accounted for an additional $50,000 in revenue. And it is a starter video for many people who then dive into the rest of our channel. So people are watching much longer. And again, most people are watching on the television. And I've also found, and this is very common for channels with very long videos, people are putting them on before they go to bed. And it's just background, which is great for retention.
Right.
I will say. Absolutely. That's
fascinating.
Yeah. So they'll put it on and it's just like, oh, it's just background. Like I do that with friends at home. My wife and I just have friends playing.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I've watched all of Friends so often because of exactly that.
Yeah.
Joey's just, our buddy.
Right. Exactly. You had mentioned recurring characters. And I want to talk about that because in my videos, I have recurring characters. Some of them are store shop owners who are now famous. People go into these stores and want their autograph now, which is pretty amazing.
Like, are there stores that your channel has helped like put on the map?
100%, which is great. And they're like, Pat, you've done so much for us. And I'm like, no, you've done so much for me. And they like hook me up and they like, whatever. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody can win. This is cool. But there are even inanimate things that have become quote unquote recurring characters. So I told this at Craft of Commerce. Because a lot of our challenges are based on time, I bought a kitchen timer on Amazon and put googly eyes on it, and we just named it Steve. We even have like foam eyebrows, so it could be mad or sad or whatever. And Steve has now become like a popular request and character when I take Steve with me, literally a kitchen timer. People want to take pictures with it. We're making a plushie Steve that our audience can buy. We're in the middle of manufacturing that right now. We have merch with Steve on it. And he's almost like the villain because I'm up against time, right? So I imagine for you,
you've personified, an unknown or like an inanimate unknown thing, right? Like, oh, we're just racing against time, and now you can cut to Steve, and Steve could be like gleeful at how far behind you are, or upset that you're about to solve.
Yeah, we've had little stories where like Steve is at the beach. We like literally put him on the towel and like we just film him like it's literally a kitchen timer, dude. Like it's so stupid and cool. I'd say we're world building here. So in your world here in the Nathan Barry Show, like what things could you have that people can know about beyond just the guest? Like maybe you have a giant ass piece of chalk. It's like comically huge. And it's like, here, take the big ass chalk and do that. And it's just like, now you can sell a merch line.
Well, because we could do a very random thing, right? When we're drawing on the board, we've got these pieces of paper that go up there and it's black. Turns out markers that write consistently on black paper are actually a pain. If I were to open that drawer right there, you would see about 200 markers in there as we've tested every different variety.
That's so good. So you cut to when you're going into this drawer, you open it and you see the 200 markers and you don't say anything about it. You don't say like, here are the 200 markers, because it just becomes a thing that like, if you know, you know. Right? It's almost like the secret menu at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
If you ever come to California or wherever there's an In-N-Out and somebody is not, like if you're new and you've never been to In-N-Out and you talk to somebody who's been at In-N-Out, they're going to tell you about the secret menu.
Yeah.
They're like, you need to get an animal style or get your animal style fries. It's like, if you know, you know. And we all have the opportunity.
What is it? A single double protein style? Like there's all kinds of stuff.
I mean, you can get a 100 by 100 if you want.
I don't even know what that is.
So 5 by 5 is 5 patties.
Okay.
So 100 by 100 is 100 patties. It would make for good content, I guess. But
it would be.
Like, the world building, that you're creating a sense of brand by inserting these little things that are unique to you because of just what you have, right? Maybe the microphones, maybe you name them. Like this is Mike and I don't know. And that's how you find out with those things that they're just dumb and sometimes the audience makes those things up, right? Like with my shorts channel. So I have a shorts channel. Within a year, we were able to get it to 3.5 billion views. and it's generating about 10 million views a day now. So I have 10 million people every day watching me, but not my face. It's my hands open up a pack of cards every single day. And my thumbs are weird looking. They're like Megan Fox thumbs. That's what I say because it makes them sound a little bit better.
The most attractive person with odd thumbs.
Nintendo thumbs. They're like brachial something or other is like the scientific term, whatever. People were like, dude, your thumbs are gross, dude.
And so that might make you be like, oh, I guess I won't.
Yeah, I started.
Watch me open. Like, how do I hide my thumbs while I open cards? Which that would be entertaining in itself.
That would be, and I have like a funny side story to that. But I instead decided to embrace that. And I'm like, hey, my thumbs look like Digletts, which is a Pokemon that kind of looks like those thumbs, and they're Diglett thumbs now. And now when I go to events and I get asked and even paid now to come and sign autographs, I'm signing Diglett cards all day long.
Wow, because of
that's the connection,
the joke that you embraced and you made a meme.
And every once in a while, I bought these thumb covers from Amazon that make it look like real thumbs. And I put them on and I open the cards and I don't say a word. And it's like, people are just like, they're in this world now and they get it.
So someone just scrolling through and they're seeing it for the first time, they're not going to know at all. But other people are going to be like, oh, if you know, you know. And they're like, Pat, those aren't your thumbs, you know? Like, where are your actual
Or somebody might ask a question and then my community will come in and say, the new guy, check out the new guy here, or you'll learn, just keep watching. You know, they'll like fight for you on that. It's just so interesting. It's belonging, it's brand connection, it's human is really what it is. It's going back to how things used to be before the internet.
Right.
But on the internet now.
Oh man, there's so much I want to dive into. Let's talk about the Shorts channel, because you built to 1 million subscribers on YouTube with the main channel. How long did that take?
We got to 1 million in 7 months.
That's wild. And then the Shorts channel,
it's completely separate. I didn't link to it from anything.
Why didn't you link to it? Is that Pat the experimenter?
Yes.
Just being like, I want a clean test.
Well, two reasons. This is the most common question. So I have my long form channel, Deep Pocket Monster, and then I have my short form channel. And it could have been very easy to just be like, hey, it's Pokemon cards. Like, everybody go check out my new channel.
Audience overlap is substantial.
Yes, but no.
Okay.
Because the reason I felt it's different, like the general rule is same audience, same channel, different audience, different channel. Even for podcasters, do I put my podcast on my YouTube channel? Is it, whatever. People who watch my long form videos and sit on the couch with their families over dinner for an hour and a half is not the same person necessarily as the person who is in their bed doom scrolling at night and just wants a quick fix. Half my audience is on the toilet. I've called them out on it, like in the videos. It's really funny. They're like, how'd you know?
And you're like, I know.
And so my theory was just like, it's just a different audience. Like, it's a different behavioral audience. Yes, it's the same topic. There is some overlap there. However, there's still a lot of people who don't know the other channel exists. And I wanted to prove that I could do this without getting any help from the outside. So there is no team. It's just me. I'm editing these videos. And the way that I approach this is in a very lean learning way. I said, I want to learn how to do this. So I'm going to give myself 60 days. I'm going to publish daily, which means I'm going to get the reps in. I'm going to base my wins off of uploads, not views. And whatever.
The thing that you can control.
The thing that I can control. Because I can't control views. I can, of course, consciously try to get better and get more views. But if I get to day 60 and I've gone daily, I've won. And I'll probably learn something at least along the way, whether this thing works or not. Day 30, going daily with opening packs, the videos are getting maybe 300 to 500 views per day. Not much in the grand scheme of things. And the old Pat would have been like, okay, I tried it. It's not like I'm bad at this. But again, the goal wasn't the views. The goal is the uploads. However, something interesting I've noticed did happen at day 30. My editing time personally for these videos went from 45 minutes to about 12 minutes. So I actually
got good at it.
I was getting much better, and learning the shortcuts and all this stuff just simply because I was repeating myself. But I also had 30 pieces of data that could teach me some stuff. And one thing I learned, a small pattern that I discovered, again, I think a big theme of this is look at your analytics today. Was that the videos where there was a sticker, a price tag on the pack had higher views. Something visual in the first second that people could see this different. And when I was in person interacting at a card shop, held people till the end. There was just something about it. I didn't need to know what, but I just saw that was the case. Day 35, I published a video that incorporates those two things. And I guess I hit the right wave, and maybe there's a little luck involved, sure. But that video hit 750,000 views in 24 hours.
What did it go on to do?
I think 15 million views over time. It still gets views. Oh, yeah. But then all the videos.
Everything elevated.
Elevated from there. And it was just like people started to use it in their video, the same song, and like it just took off.
Well, so I mean, again, you're putting in enough or putting out enough pieces of content, enough reps, so that you can actually learn from it, right? Because if someone's doing this once a month, right, or that sort of thing, you
get 12 reps per year,
and you can't find a pattern in that.
No,
the chances of finding, you would have to be very lucky to find a pattern in that.
Quantity is key. I know people say quality is key, but in the beginning, quantity is key. And I know that's a little controversial, but I'm not saying sacrifice value.
Yeah.
But sacrifice a little quality to get quantity, so you get more data and more reps in. And yeah, the shorts channel just continued to explode and blow up. I started to learn even more things. For example, the monetization on YouTube. At the time, this was before shorts were up to 3 minutes. It was 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
It's now changed. But back then, it was, if your video was 60 seconds or less, it was a short, and you could monetize it as a short. And the monetization is different. I mean, the RPMs are like peanuts compared to the long form channel. So I still think long form is king. But with that many views, they were able to stack up. So I'm generating currently about $18,000 to $20,000 a month
off the shorts channel.
Off just the shorts channel alone. Now, I'm also repurposing these videos on other channels like Instagram and TikTok. And I found that on TikTok, in order to monetize, you have to be over 60 seconds.
Okay.
In order to qualify for monetization. So what I ended up doing was taking my 59.5-second video from YouTube and literally just slowing down the last part of it until it extended over a minute.
Yeah.
And then published that video on TikTok, which then unlocked an additional 5 to 8K per month on TikTok from the same videos. Technically not the same, because the ending is just extended just a little over. But that's how I was able to kind of take advantage of both. A lot of people ask me about Instagram. What's the Instagram done for you? I've earned $30 from Instagram.
Okay.
From a bonus reel. I was not lucky enough to get in before they removed.
They ended that, yeah.
Yeah. So there are some people who are sort of legacy put into that program that's similar to the others. But it's nothing. It's like I don't like Meta and Instagram really nicely. I mean,
not your favorite.
Not my favorite.
So I want to dive into the monetization and the profit margin on this and the team and all kinds of things. But before that, you have this jingle for the shorts.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And then how important do you think that is for, hitting 1.7 million subscribers in the shorts?
1.7 million subs on YouTube, 1 million on Instagram, 1.5 on TikTok, 10 million views a day. Hearing this jingle. And there's also a secondary jingle, which is at the end. If I get a good card, it's a good jingle. If it's a bad card, I'd like the same voiceover woman.
What's the jingle?
It depends. I've actually created a library of essentially disses. It's gotten so bad that it's like, wow, you smell like losing, or have you talked to your therapist about this? And it's that's how the video ends when I get a bad card, right? And it's so funny because I'm imagining this voiceover artist. Her name's Kim from Australia. I hired her through Music Radio Creative. She's a very famous singer.
Okay.
And imagining her in a sound booth, you smell like losing is just the most hilarious thing to me. But anyway, so I have these jingles made, but I didn't have that library at first. I just had the initial intro.
And the initial one is the should I open it?
Yeah. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? There's a very raw video or audio of me singing that. Mm-hmm. And then giving it to Music Radio Creative to turn into what it became, which is sort of a 50s sort of jingle that you'd hear on a commercial. It was purposefully done to be an earworm.
Yep.
It has become that. And it is definitely something that auditorially marks this as my video. Mm-hmm. And every day people watch these videos and it becomes ingrained in them. Mm-hmm. So much so that now people are saying or singing this when they are at card shops. And I'm not even there. They're just before they open it.
So your brand is just spreading.
It's spreading so much now that it has become a parody for many. Like they're taking this audio and using it in different ways. And for example, there was a guy who did a video that went pretty viral where he was trying to lose weight. Every time he would grab a bag of chips, should I open it? Should I keep it sealed? And it's just
and then he like sets it aside.
Puts it aside, right. Okay. This is how I lost 50 pounds. There was a DJ who was like performing at a rave in front of 15,000 people, and he inserted that jingle into his set and played it, and then opened a pack of cards on stage, which was awesome. And he and I connected. He invited me to come out and do it like with him, and the timing didn't work out. And then I showed this at the event. There was like I just showed a picture of a coffin.
Everybody lost it because as soon as like you didn't even play the reel
I
yet.
didn't have to say anything.
And everyone's just like.
And then I played it, and it's this guy at a mortuary who's like, "Should I open it or should I keep it sealed?"
And he's just like, "I think we're gonna keep this one sealed."
Yeah. So it's been pretty cool. It has been important for distinguishing it from other channels. I'm not the first channel to open packs.
Right.
Like this has been done for years. But I was able to find a way by just spending a little bit of time to be creative to add my flavor to it. And what's been really interesting, I haven't talked to many people about this, but there's been so many now other Pokemon creators who have put jingles in their shorts. And every time the comment section blasts them for it. They're like, this is just a Deep Pocket Monster clone.
Yeah.
Like you're just a clone. Like try to be creative a little bit. And I feel bad because I get where they're trying to do this.
Because they're like, oh, this works. I'm learning from another channel, all of that.
Right.
But your audience is like,
even though the lyrics are different.
Yeah.
Well, this is just like a dollar store version of Deep Pocket Monster, right? And I feel bad and I try to help them. And, there's been some people who have learned. There's a guy named Scott's PC for personal collection, Scott's PC. He has a gacha machine, which is in Japan, if you go, there's like the vending machines, you put a quarter in, you get a ball. And that's how he starts his videos. He put a quarter in, open the ball, and it says, I'm going to open packs until I find a Charizard or something. And so he's taken this idea of at least some reason in the beginning to stay till the end. For me, it's the inherent question of, well, am I going to lose money or not on this thing? Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? Right? That's my version. He's found his version, which is great. And so again, there's a line between imitation and inspiration. And it's going to be different for every niche and every creator, but you got to find it.
So did you have the jingle from the very beginning of the Shorts channel? How far in did you add the jingle?
I think it was 10 days in.
Okay, so it came pretty quick. But what was the thing that made you say, I need to try this?
It was just a random idea.
Okay.
Like
it's part of that like 20% experimenting,
completely. And if you go back into the history of the channel, you'll see it when it drops. And it wasn't like episode 1 back then.
Right.
But when I did it the second time, I was like, day 2, day 3, day 4. And
so was it you just put it out on one? Were you thinking you were going to do it on all the future ones, or is it you saw how it performed and you're like, well, let's try it day 2 and see? I had got it done to hopefully be something that I could put in there, and it just stuck after. My very first video was me going to Barnes and Noble, buying cards, and then opening them in the car. Okay,
like. The idea being like, I couldn't wait to get home to open these things. Like I'm that much of a degenerate that I have to like open these things now. And I positioned it and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like it's a little too self-deprecating, but it's also relatable. But then I tried another thing. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try this jingle to kind of create the idea being like, can I create a show so that everybody can kind of know like, oh, because I was trying to find the thing that I could become known for. And like, the open it in the car guy because he has no patience guy, it doesn't make sense, or I didn't want that. But like the should I open it guy, right? So like what could you become known for? How could people in one sentence share your stuff, right? I was the passive income guy, and then I became the podcasting guy for a long time. I helped people like Tim Ferriss start a show and so many others. And I was known as the podcasting guy, right? Chris Ducker was the virtual assistant guy for so long. Because they kept just hitting the same message over and over again. You don't become the guy or the gal by sharing 100 different messages.
Right.
You hit the same message over and over and over again.
Okay, so then let's talk monetization. Because you've always been transparent about numbers all the way. That was a big thing with SPI.
Yeah, income reports.
Do the income reports, and people would be like, wait, how much did he earn from Bluehost this month? How,
Bluehost.
each of these things. It was a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I was making, at its peak, it was making 6 figures a month just from that one affiliate deal.
It was absolutely wild.
And then their customer service just went to crap. And then I was like, I mean, I'm sure they're great now.
Probably.
But maybe, I don't know. I've moved on, but they were great and then they weren't. And then that hurt me as the person promoting that company. And so I eventually stopped.
Moved on from that. But so how do you think about monetization in the entertainment world, right? Because people aren't making the same level of like business transaction where it's like, oh, I'm signing up for a hosting company that I'm going to be with for like 8 years. And so the LTV is incredible. You obviously have the monetization from YouTube, but what is the business side of Deep Pocket Monster?
Oh, there's business.
I'm sure.
And I have this unique position of having done business and entrepreneurship and working with other companies.
You know what the attention is worth.
Yes. And I also what it knows to partner, what it means to partner with businesses. Fast forward, I'm even an advisor for a couple collectible related companies now.
Oh, wow.
Like how I'm an advisor for Kit.
Yeah.
So like there's still, there's a lot of parallels even in the entertainment world. When people think of monetization in the entertainment world, they generally think of brand deals.
Yep.
Right. Like not in addition to YouTube ad revenue, it's brand deals, getting a company to pay you a lot of money to be sponsored, to sponsor the video, or be placed in the video or whatever it might be. Right. So that's one thing we do. And I do that, I, at this point in the long form channel, to give you some metrics, I've charged up to $30,000 for a 60-second ad spot for one video.
And this is you doing an actual ad read, not just
an ad read.
Yeah.
And in general, it's for a company that's related to the industry. So a retail card shop or some event or something like that. So that does exist. Affiliate marketing exists in the entertainment space. So one of my first videos that popped off was a how-to educational video about how to correctly store your cards in a binder. And that was the positioning of it. The idea was just like, I want to teach people how to keep their cards safe.
Yeah.
But me knowing the importance of title, thumbnail, positioning, the title of this was The Correct Way to Store Your Cards in a Binder. And then on the thumbnail it said, you're doing it wrong. So if you're a collector and you see that, you don't think that you're doing any of that wrong when you store your cards. But now this opens up the question.
Yeah. Well, now I'm wondering, I'm either like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch the video to preview that I'm not doing it wrong. Or I'm like, oh, am I?
Am I? Right.
And you really only end up in one of those two camps.
Exactly. So this video blasted off right now, 3.8 million views on a how to store your Pokemon cards, like in a binder video. And I recommend a binder in that video as like the best solution. So you don't practice bad binder behavior, which has become this phrase, a part of the culture of the brand now that I purposefully put in there, knowing because I knew from the education world and in business that if we create frameworks, if we create these memorable alliterations, people are more likely to absorb them. So I did the same thing in the entertainment channel, like bad binder behavior. And it's this phrase now that everybody uses when they see somebody else. They'll even comment it on other people's channels who aren't properly storing their cards. Like I feel a little bad, but it's also really awesome. So that company has an affiliate program. And so I signed up for it and I promoted it. And we have made nearly $500,000 for them.
Wow.
And so I get a commission on that. I think they're in the UK. So I've made, I think, 60,000 pounds like in take home money from that, which is awesome. But I also know, because I've done business with companies like yours before, that when you are an affiliate for a company and you do well for them, when you do volume, it opens up doors to conversations that you couldn't have had before. So I reached out to them. I said, hey, I'd love to work with you even more deeply. And they're like, we know who you are. You've made us a lot of money. What do you want? And initially I was like, well, it'd be really cool if we had a branded binder, like my logo on it. We could sell it through your website so I don't have to deal with any of the shipping and stuff. And they were like, totally, we're down to do that for sure. And they did that. We sold a lot of them. And I even had them put an expression in the binder in gold foil. When they open it, it reads, good binder behavior.
Yes, you were like closing that loop. Someone bought it and they're all the way through, and then they'll be telling the story to their friends or whatever, like why it says good binder behavior.
Yeah. They'll be at a card show or something and open it and be like, why does that say that? Or they might be like, oh, you watched Deep Pocket Monster or whatever, right? It's kind of cool. But I took it even further. When I did this story arc that I talked about earlier of collecting one of every Pokemon, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we can put them all into one single binder and make it kind of comically big? And I asked them, I was like, could you make like a 4.5 foot tall binder where every page has 64 cards? And they were like, for you, Absolutely. Yeah. And that was really smart of them too. I mean, they spent a lot of money and did a lot of research and found companies that they basically crafted it by hand because there's no machinery that can do that.
And no one's going to mass produce. It's not let's make 10,000 units.
No, exactly. It's not economically, it doesn't make sense to manufacture that, but economically it made sense for them to work with their top affiliate to insert this into the story. And now it's in every video in that series. Vault X is now being promoted again and again, not by a 60-second ad, but literal integration into the story that's being told. Not even just like in the background. It's a part of the story. We even named this binder Chad because it's like a Giga Chad. And
well, I think what's interesting about that is it goes all the way back to not just the storytelling, because it's this bigger arc that you're on, but also the thumbnails. Because now you can have thumbnails where people are like, well, this looks photoshopped. Like that binder can't possibly be real. And so I click it, I'm like, that's you actually have a 4-foot tall binder.
Yeah, that was very much part of the conversation. It needs to be big because it's going to look like so obnoxious on the thumbnail. And I have to credit my producer, Dan Norton, on that. And as speaking of team, like he's my producer. He's behind the scenes, like helping me with the storytelling a lot. And he's diving into a lot of books and all these kinds of things. He helps manage the editing team, which is one person. Actually, 2 people now. We just hired another one. And then we have a Discord server guy. Like that's it. It's the most profitable thing I've ever done.
What's top line revenue at for this business? Whatever you want to share.
Top line revenue. Well, I can give you revenue. There's a lot of monetization happening from all kinds of different places, from brand deals, sponsorships. There's like the shorts channel.
We haven't even talked events as well.
In 2 weeks, I'm hosting an event in Tampa, and 5,000 people are coming. We've sold our 5,000th ticket while I was here.
Wow.
I spent $0 on marketing for that. It's our third year. First year, this is the first year it'll be profitable.
Yeah.
But like events aren't necessarily going to be profitable. But again, that's my other book, Superfans in Action, bringing the community together. And we have 800 vendors there. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to play like Price is Right style games, except instead of groceries, it's Pokemon cards. And it's like, we're going to nerd out on this. And people on the outside are like, what the heck? This is stupid. And we're like, you can think what you want. We're having a good time. Right. The YouTube channel and all the brand deals and everything like that, I would guess it's a little over $1 million a year at this point.
That's amazing.
From stuff, I'm a 42-year-old man opening cards with cartoons on them and having the time of my life.
But I what's so cool to me about it is it's everything that I've always known you for, which is picking something that you love, becoming completely obsessed with it, and saying, I'm going to learn everything I can about this, not in a like academic way, but in a very, very practical, like how can we test and iterate and learn and go from there, and then just go so deep on mastery, and to do it with fans and a community.
Yeah. And I mean, the deepness is in the serving of that audience. Wherever I go, I want to be remembered for providing so much value in that space. Like my mom always taught me, like, leave the room that you're in cleaner than when you left. And that's what I'm doing in the niches that I'm in.
Who you really remind me of is Jesse Cole from Savannah Bananas. And so I
love Jesse.
He's amazing. And his whole thing, fans first. That is his phrase that he's built.
They're selling out 80,000
Yeah.
people.
And so I've known Jesse probably for, 7 years, 8 years, something like that. And I first met him actually when we were flying to an event. And so I boarded a Phoenix to Cabo flight. And there's this guy in a yellow tuxedo on the plane. And like, he was sitting a couple rows ahead of me. And so I saw him come in and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm almost certain we're going to the same event. Yeah. And this is like a business mastermind with 100 people or something. And so as we're, waiting for the shuttle, I meet him and, he's like, yeah, I got this baseball team that used to be called the Savannah Sand Gnats.
That was Sand Gnats? That's what it was.
That was the previous name.
Savannah Bananas is what I know them for now.
Yeah. And so he bought the team and they renamed it. People were super mad at them for renaming the team. And I'm like, they're called the Sand Gnats. Like, what is this? Anyway, so, he was just always doing this and just this deep obsession with storytelling and entertainment and how to hook and hold attention. The first Savannah Bananas game that I went to, they were already popular. like at this point, maybe 500,000 followers on social, that kind of thing when I went to a game, but they were still playing regular baseball and just adding in all this extra entertainment. And so it was at their home stadium. It was probably 3,000 people, right? And then it's just like compounded, and you see his obsession with learning and iterating and serving fans. And now, the Clemson stadium was 81,000 people. They just did a huge thing at Disneyland.
That's so cool, dude.
Like, it's just all of this. And he's like, hey, there's actually not stadiums big enough. And like taking it on from there. But it's just this obsession with serving people, entertaining people, and putting them first.
Yeah. The world has changed in terms of how we as creators can serve our audience, because before we were serving them through information.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to, through our expertise, through our own experiences, through our own case studies, share things that weren't available before. Now, pretty much whatever you want to learn how to do, there's a resource to learn how to do that. And so how can we get our audiences to come to us to gather those resources? And it's going to be through your personal brand, the way you show up. It's who you are. It's this world building that you create. It's how do you become like the anime people choose to watch? Because something about that anime is relatable, right? There's a reason why most Japanese animes take place in high schools.
Yeah.
It's because high school is a moment of a person's life, in Japan at least, that was probably the best time of their life, because people in Japan, when they move on to the workforce, it's just a grind. Like, it's the worst working conditions. So this is why animes are focused around that time, when there wasn't as many responsibilities. There were a lot more playful moments, nostalgia, right? And so how can you create those, not just nostalgic, but relatable, meaningful, how can you bring emotion into what you do and what you talk about? This is how you create more than just subscribers. It's how you create lifelong fans and people who will come to go to at bat for you, people who will go to your event in Tampa, even though you just found them on YouTube. And it's an opportunity we all have. And so this is why leaning not away from information, but leaning toward a transformation of how we show up for our people.
Is there anyone that you see in the business world or any of the maybe more traditional education content creators that you see that is doing this really well, whether it's the story arcs or how they show up for fans, or, putting in these recurring characters, or any of these principles that you've seen?
From the circles that I have been a part of, that many of them overlap with yours, honestly, no. The old school OGs are battling this push and pull between like doing what once worked and trying to reposition themselves. And I've been able to do it, but in another space.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning, and I'm trying to bring that back and create more of that in the business world. What's interesting is what I'm seeing on my YouTube feed. I'm seeing a story about a guy who I've never seen before, who is trying to build a sock company on Shopify. And I'm into it, even though I don't know who this person is, because of the way that they're telling the story. And the ups and downs and these relatable challenges that they're having. And that's the cool thing. It's for those of you who might be watching who might not yet be at a top level or an authority level. It could just take one story to position you in a way that makes you amazing. I mean, this person isn't an educator per se, but the dude from Sailing with Phoenix, who quit his job at a tire store, cashed out his 401k, bought a sailboat, and sailed from Oregon to Hawaii.
I've seen some of these videos.
He captured the attention of the entire world.
Right.
Not because he was sailing, not because he is teaching anything, but because he represents and did what most people would love to do but never have the balls to do.
Right.
Which is quit his job and sail.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the different times I've seen this play out. I think about Alex Lieberman from Gimlet Media when he did the startup podcast years ago.
That's a perfect example.
He did that so well. And it resulted in, over $100 million exit to Spotify and all of this. But we were all hooked on like, what's he going to name the company? What's going to happen?
We know some people who bought stake in that company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. I'm trying to find the balance though between there's storytelling of your own business and journey, which works. And especially if you can, use the modern.
You are your own case study.
Yep. And all of that. But then also in the the education side of it, like I'm hung up on how do you do it when you're not the case study or you're not telling your own journey. Does anything come to mind there?
Yeah. In a very lean learning way, I'm going to tell you the one resource you need. And it's a book by Donald Miller called Building a Story Brand.
Right.
It literally teaches that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a top seller for a very long time because it's even better to tell the stories of others versus yourself, especially if it's your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And when you position them as the hero of this story and you learn the story structure of like the hero's journey, the before, the challenges, the rebirth and coming out of that hardship, that story itself sells your thing.
Right.
So if there was one thing to leave your audience with like, get better at this, is tell the story, surface a story, not of yourself, although that's important, but of your customer, of a subscriber. And that's one thing I love about Kit and what you've done. You've really focused on that and tried to do that. And I think more can be done to surface those stories and tell those stories out there in the world.
What I'm thinking about is there's a creator, I think he goes by Mr. Balin. He's a former Navy SEAL, and a lot of his content is telling these war stories and all that, but he's branched out and, so he might be telling like how he went through SEAL training or, being in this battle or something else. But now he's just telling all kinds of interesting stories or things that are fascinating. And he has such a great style to it. But it's just him talking. And there's, B-roll or things cut over it. But I'm realizing that like that format would work for any niche where you're just like, obviously you have to write an amazing script and deliver it really well and all of that. But you're just like, oh, I just collect and tell really good stories.
Right. And maybe it's not even about a real person. I mean, don't make up like a fake story about a person, but you might even just start a video by saying, if you were a teacher teaching, parents how to manage elementary school periods of life, imagine you started a video like this. Imagine you're a parent who gets a call from your teacher saying that your kid just bit somebody else at school.
Yep.
We're in a story now. And
right.
I've put you in that moment of considering what would happen. I've taken you away from, is this going to be useful for me or not? To what would I do in that situation? It could be as simple as that.
Right.
But when you know and you can pinpoint certain clients of yours and use that as story to sell to others, it's so powerful. A good friend of mine, I think you know him, Stu McLaren.
Yeah, I know Stu.
God, I hate Stu, but I love Stu so much. But I hate Stu because he's so masterful. Every time I interview him, I love you, Stu, by the way. Every time I've interviewed him, when I ask him a question, he'll answer like this. Oh, that's like my student Amber. Because she had this problem and she did this and she did this. And like he remembers their last name, he remembers the name of their product. And like it's just so engaging. And it proves it, but it also deflects it off of him.
Right.
And it makes me root for this person, but then I want to go to where this person learned from. Oh yeah, it's from him.
Yeah.
And
he makes the student the hero of all of it.
Completely.
He just helped them unlock this one little thing. And then they achieved what they were meant to be.
I'm like, how do you do that? I brought him to my event once and I selfishly asked him, Stu, how do you remember all of those stories? What's your secret? And he laughed. And I said, why are you laughing? And he's like, well, Pat, I have a spreadsheet printed out behind my computer that is sorted by problem. And I just have under each problem my students who have solved those problems in some way. And I was like, that's cheating.
Right.
I was so mad, but it was so genius. And he was able to just go, oh, we're talking about this common obstacle that I'm coming across every time I talk to somebody. So let me write down who in my, who of my clients have already solved that problem. And just, I can tell that story.
Well, because I'm thinking about this, for Kit, we have 63,000 paying customers, all creators who have amazing stories. And if someone's like, well, how do I do this? I could launch into like, well, so in Kit, we have this automation feature and it helps you do blah, 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 blah. Lame.
More information. Don't need it.
Nobody cares. Right. But then, you could say, well, let me tell you about Pat. Let me tell you about, and again, you could have, I can visualize that grid. Imagine what Stu has. And it could be problem, problem in industry, and I could, be like, oh, I can have a story about someone overcoming that growth problem, or, it's not about automation, it's about freeing up their time.
Right. If it's a mindset thing, this is where this really comes into handy. I think there is if people are like, can you show me how to do this automation?
Yeah, if they want a technical answer, we can.
You're not going to be like, you know what? That reminds me of my friend Jerry, who also once had problems with automation, right?
There's a balance.
Right. But if you are talking to a prospect, typically it's not a logical reason why they are not taking action. There's a psychological reason, an emotional reason, perhaps, when you can pull out these stories of similar people who are experiencing similar problems and basically paint a picture of their future through a client that you already have. It's magic.
I love that. Okay, so where does Deep Pocket Monster go from here?
So there are some things that we have in the works that I cannot yet share because I don't want to reveal them, but we are thinking bigger. And we're getting a lot of inspiration from bigger YouTubers on how to mobilize this community and do fun things with them. That's very vague, but that's all I can share for now. But this is just the beginning. We're at 1.7 million subscribers on Deep Pocket Monster, just about to cross 1.7 million subscribers in about 4.5 years. And we see it as, and we treat it as, we film like we are a 10 million subscriber video channel right now. That's how we got to 1 million.
That's an important phrase, but what does that actually mean? Like, how would you show up if you're like, oh, I'm a YouTuber who's making content about Pokemon or whatever topic, versus we are a 10 million subscriber channel and this is how we show up?
That means we are learning how those 10 million subscriber channels are creating content and how we can reach more people. Because if I stayed completely in the world of Pokemon, for example, there's a lot of Pokemon creators who feel stuck because they're talking about like the investment side of Pokemon. Okay. But there are only so many people who care about the investment side of Pokemon. And there's a lot. I mean, first of all, those videos are not evergreen. And second of all, again, there's a big ceiling there. What I mean by a 10 million subscriber channel is how can we make this Pokemon thing reach so far that it would reach a more general / mass audience versus just, well, this is only for you if you care about Pokemon. No. And we've always treated it that way. And that's why we're getting comments like, I don't even care about Pokemon, but I can't stop watching these videos. So for us, more specifically, is getting deeper with the storytelling. It's perhaps more collaborations because we see a lot of bigger creators grow much faster through larger collaborations. And the bigger the channel grows, the more doors open to do those kinds of things. And just instilling the confidence in ourselves as creators and as a team that we are worthy of that 10 million subscriber channel. I mean, and even if we don't hit it, at least if you're, reaching for the stars, you still might land on the moon kind of thing.
We only hit 5 million. Like, all right. Obviously, you're going to keep pushing. But you're going to hit amazing things.
It's so fun, though. And I think maybe that's another lesson to pass on to a lot of creators, especially ones who've been doing the same thing over and over again. They feel like they're just stuck or lost even. It's just find the fun, whether it's starting a new thing or going back to the thing that you're already doing and maybe turning on a lens of fun and trying to find where can you start to enjoy some of this again.
Yeah. What would this look like if it were
What would it look like if it were fun?
Yeah. I love that. And the other thing that I love is that you're just sharing every aspect of the journey. Like you're doing it, you're in it, people can see, everything you're doing along the way. But then you're coming out to the meta layer and saying, oh, but here's the lean learning process that I'm going through. Here's how I'm applying it, and letting people, I guess, follow on a few different levels, which is really fun.
That's been the cool thing about this book. The last chapter in the book is about the power of teaching as a form of learning. For example, I have a friend of mine who is learning how to play the ukulele. And he lives in Hawaii and they have access to like the best ukulele players, right? So he's got this master teacher who's teaching him and he's like a few months into it. And the teacher said, hey, now that you know these chords, I want you to teach your son how to play the ukulele.
Okay.
And the dude's like, I'm learning from you. How can I go teach somebody else? And the master knew that by teaching the kid, he would simplify it so much that he would then understand it even further himself. So then the master listened to the son play those chords, and then now this guy has got that ingrained, and it's like that much further ahead, right? There's power in teaching. And by writing this book, I was forced to learn how to create the frameworks around what I've always been doing, how I've created multiple successful businesses and always seem to, as other people say, knock it out of the park every time. I mean, I don't, but I do a lot of very successful things. And it's not because I'm a genius or anything like that. It's because I have a specific way to approach things so that I don't overlearn, but I learn by doing and getting results. So that has forced me to put this into this book. And thankfully the book is doing very well. New York Times.
Oh, yeah.
And again, to have that happen here is just such a blessing. And I'm hoping it can take, the level of Atomic Habits or Mel Robbins or whatever. I'm going to do my best to get it to that point where it hits the world, because it's an important message that needs to be heard.
It really is. Well, first, thank you for being an amazing advisor to Kit over the last 10 years. We've been working together for a long time.
You always give me a lot of credit for helping Kit get it started in the early days. And I know that the audience I had was a big part of that, but I mean, thank you. You reached out to me and took me out to coffee
in San Diego back in the day.
Yeah. And you showed me some stuff that was really cool and exciting, and it hadn't yet been built, but you were building it. And, I'm very grateful for the journey that we've been on, and we're still together.
Yep. It's amazing. All right. Where should people go to check out the book, and then also to follow all the things that you're up to?
Yeah. The book, wherever books are sold, and it's at Barnes, it's at Amazon, Target, and, maybe Amazon would be best. But Pat Flynn on social, hit me up, let me know you watched this, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you have questions about the YouTube channel, especially, I'm just nerding out about that right now more than anything. So happy to help.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, man.
If you enjoyed this episode, you'll love episode 36 with John Ushai, a former YouTube insider who shares what actually works to grow your YouTube channel fast. We dig into packaging, retention, and what separates long-term creators from those who fade. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and I will see you next week.